change is the only constant in this material world of sense perception. Things only change. There's nothing that actually remains constant. These rolling hills around me don't look much different than they did thousands of years ago. But if you add a couple zeros to that number, they did look quite different. This was covered under ice sheets for eons of time, and before that they weren't, and then they were again, and then if you go far enough back, these lands were swamplands covered in water and jungles. All sorts of creatures that we can hardly even imagine. We find some of their fossils, but fossils are a rarity. Most creatures that have existed we won't know anything about. And even the fossils we find, we know very little about those beings from the past. Our own ancestors were around through all of Earth prehistory. Any time period that you think of, your ancestors had to have been around then, because things don't pop out of nothing. Things only change. They only evolve. They adapt. We, as we are right now, are a product of that change and a step in the process of change. Change is the constant. There is an ancient Chinese book called the I Ching, which means the Book of Changes. And it is over 3,000 years old, and it is full of philosophical wisdom. It inspired Confucius, it inspired Taoism. The Book of Changes talks about this process of unfolding. There is a nature to this change. There is a pattern to it. There is a reasoning principle behind the way that things change. Now, there is this world of material that always changes, but then there is a super sensible world, a higher realm that is eternal. It does not change. It is everlasting. In that super sensible world, there exists forms that our intellect, our psyche, our soul actually comes into contact with. We have the ability to contact eternal forms using our minds. We don't come into contact in the material world with these things, because the material world is always changing. But our soul has the ability to interact with these very real eternal forms. Because our human soul has the ability to contact these eternal forms, different cultures have different ways of interpreting the interactions that we have with these forms. There are thousands of different human cultures. There are so many different traditions on how to map out reality. I just find it so fascinating, and there are similarities between these interpretations. And the kind of similarities that you find with spiritual or wisdom traditions is such an example of our psyche's ability to contact something other than this transient world of substance. In the I Ching, there are two energies that dance with each other. It's the yin and yang. A simple way of explaining it is like chaos and order, but it's deeper than that. And the dance of these two energies is called the Tao. As things unfold and change, the Tao is like the ordering principle where things end up happening the way that they're supposed to. Like this piece of grass turning this way, growing here, that butte ending up that way over millions of years. The natural unfolding towards the way nature desires it to be. That's what the Tao is. And in the Greek philosophical tradition, it's called the Logos. And the Logos is that same kind of thing. It's the ordering principle of the universe. It's rational in the sense of the way things are supposed to be, following the pattern. Because there is order in the universe. It's not just chaos. It's not just chaos. And the fact that there's order in the universe, which if you're very materialistically minded, you would just call these the laws of physics. why are things ordered the way that they are? Why does gravity work the way it does? What is like the Fibonacci sequence? Why do things exemplify forms in material? And those forms come into being, but they're transient, they go away. And through the cycle of death and rebirth, they come back again. And the evidence of that is all around. Like, think of clouds, for example. I mean, we see clouds pass and they dissipate into the air, but the clouds will come back again. We know that clouds will return because there's this form that nature takes. And even though it goes away, we know that form still exists, that ordering principle behind clouds. We know they'll come back again. We know that it will rain again in the future because there are patterns nature follows. We know that as the sun makes its journey throughout the year, the seasons change and the seasons will come back again. Springtime is returning here where I live in the northern hemisphere, and we know that the summer will come and then fall will return, winter will come again. There's this order that brings understanding out of this chaos. And not only is there order in the universe, but we have a mind that can perceive and understand that order. And that's the secret magical ingredient in all of this. And the Book of Changes, when it was written, or Greek philosophy, which is kind of around the same time, and I'm interested in both of those things, what they're really looking at is our ability to perceive these changes and to make sense of those changes and find the patterns that do exist there. Just like there's patterns in all of nature, there's patterns in the ways things unfold. And because we subjectively can recognize these changes, the way material finds form and dissolves again and finds form again, that's subjective awareness that we perceive with what I would call our soul, what Plato would call our soul. We perceive it with that. And because it's subjective experience, it's not in the realm of materialistic understanding. Your subjective feelings have wisdom in them because you are a product of the same ordering principle that exists throughout the universe. You're a product of the universe. You are the universe. There's no separation there. And I think the more you can clear your mind to receive those messages, the more accurate they'll be, because there's so many distractions. If we are paying attention to whatever random societal crap going on, not saying it's unimportant, but in the grand scheme of things, a lot of it really isn't. If we fill our minds with that, we're not going to be getting our intuitive messaging from that inner wisdom, that inner logos, the messaging of the Tao. And I'm not a guru, I'm not pretending that I have the answers or that you should listen to me, but I do know that that's where wisdom is found, is in quiet reflection and opening yourselves up for messaging from the intuitive side of your psyche. I asked the I Ching what the nature of the soul was, and the message that I got had no changes, which doesn't happen a lot. And it was the joyous lake, which talks about to find true joy, you can't steal or fake it. It's something you have to develop. And one of the best things for that development is to have discussion and contemplation of higher things with like-minded friends. So there's some thoughts for today. Thanks for listening.